Israeli forces not letting up their siege on Gaza's largest hospital. 3 days into the raid of Al-Shifa, the army says that it's found the body of another of its citizens near the facility. At this time, a 19-year-old IDF soldier whose death had been confirmed by the Israeli army and Hamas militants earlier this week. Israeli forces said that they previously found the remains of a 65-year-old hostage who was kidnapped during Hamas' October 7th attack. Now, Israel has frequently asserted that hospitals like Al-Shifa are home to Hamas command centers, but the group and hospital staff have repeatedly denied these allegations. The IDF posted this video, which has not been independently verified, purportedly showing the opening of a tunnel shaft that runs under the Al-Shifa hospital. It also claims that a car was found in a garage at the hospital containing a huge cache of weapons that included rocket launchers and AK-47 assault rifles. Meantime, another communications blackout across the Strip, compounding fears for civilians still trapped in the hospital. Gaza's health ministry warns more than half of the region's medical facilities are no longer functional, while the World Health Organization has voiced its concerns about the spread of disease threatening to worsen the besieged enclave's healthcare crisis. Now, besides Al-Shifa, fighting has disrupted operations at the Al-Quds hospital, as well as the Indonesia hospital, which has already shut down. Many also tried to evacuate from Al-Ahli, but not all were able to leave.
No, the patients are still there. We tried to send some of them to Indonesian hospital. But the Indonesian hospital later on that evening was also declared that it was no longer able to provide the service. And basically the whole of northern Gaza now has no functioning hospital.
Medical facilities in the occupied West Bank also coming under pressure. Eyewitness footage shows what appears to be a group of medics being directed out of a hospital in Jenin, which with their hands in the air. And several military vehicles could also be seen outside the hospital. Heavy fighting is threatening to upend the territory. Palestinian officials say that an Israeli drone strike in the Jenin refugee camp killed at least 3 people. But the Israeli army says that it managed to take out at least 5 militants during the operation. For more, Sarah Coates joins us. She's live for us in Tel Aviv. Sarah, we're hearing reports that Israel and Hamas have agreed to a 3-day ceasefire for a possible prisoner exchange. What can you tell us about that?
Hello there, Dawn. Well, look, according to sources very close to these negotiations, this deal could be imminent. It potentially would see 50 women and children released from captivity inside the Gaza Strip in exchange for roughly around the same number of prisoners being held here in Israeli jails. We don't have any idea on when this could happen, but there certainly has been a lot of talk about it, including from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He spoke during an interview late last night. He said that we will have a temporary ceasefire if we get our hostages back. And look, that is pretty significant, given that's the first time he's really spoken about any kind of ceasefire. Before this, he'd said there will be no ceasefire until we get all of our hostages back. So look, Dawn, this is all happening as thousands of people are right now marching towards Jerusalem. It's a 5-day march. It started a few days ago here in Tel Aviv. And these families and loved ones of these 240-odd people who are being held in the Strip, they're marching toward the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem. They'll hold a rally there tomorrow night, demanding that the government do more to get these people back. Now, you did also mention that the military has found the body of a 19-year-old soldier. She is the woman, Noah Marciano, who was shown in that horrific Hamas video that was released just a few days ago. She was, after that, declared dead by the military, but her body has now been retrieved and handed back to her family for burial.
Sarah, meantime, the humanitarian situation continues to be dire in Gaza City. Fuel shortages, a communications shutdown, that has also hit aid deliveries for yet another day. With no solution in sight right now to that fuel supply issue, how are humanitarian efforts going to pick up?
Hello. Well, Dawn, to put it pretty simply, it cannot pick up. We just heard some breaking news coming through from an anonymous Israeli official close to this war cabinet. He came out to say, or she came out to say, that Israel is now allowing 2 trucks to come through the Rafah crossing full of fuel every day. Still no word on how much fuel it will be, when this will begin. But we did hear from the chief of UNRWA, that UN aid agency for Palestinian refugees, Felipe Lazzarini. He came out last night to say that without fuel, our systems will just completely collapse. And look, what we could potentially be seeing is a greater problem down in the south. We did hear Israel's Defence Minister Yoav Gallant. He came out last night to say our ground operation is now widening. And we have heard that people in Khan Yunis, down in the south of the Gaza Strip, they've actually had leaflets dropped on their roofs telling them to evacuate to this 14 square kilometre area. It's called a safe zone down in the south, saying that they may be targeted if they do not get out. So look, this area, this so-called safe zone, before this was home to 400,000 people. There are now more than 1 million people crammed into this region. And if there's more people coming from Khan Yunis, then it will just become an absolute catastrophe. Right now, there's barely any food, barely any water, sewage reportedly flowing all over the streets, and 1 toilet for every 800 people, Dawn.
Sarah, thank you for that update. Sarah Coates there in Tel Aviv.